Hi, good evening. I'd like to apologize first for uploading my speech late. I'm having technical difficulties with uploading YouTube for some reason. Tonight, I'd like to implore all of you to please write your congressmen, legislators, state representatives on something very important to all of us as United States of America citizens. First, my name is Diane Gopal. And the reason I'm imploring you to write on behalf of our healthcare system, we need some type of reform. I know President Obama had signed a law regarding our insurance and reform for our healthcare system, except there's several articles in his reform that he signed that is really devastating to us fellow American citizens. First of all, for those of us who cannot afford healthcare insurance, what do we do? Where do we go? And how do we get the help that we need to get? These are the factors that President Obama failed to realize. In his reform, he's asking all of us to pay for healthcare insurance, which is fine, except for all of us who are not working or unemployed at the moment in time. How do we pay for our healthcare insurance? For me, I have healthcare insurance for myself, but if I was to pay for healthcare insurance for my children, I can't afford it. It's $600 a month, so I have the HESKI program going on for my kids right now. And I do pay a fee for that every month, but it's not $600. This is an issue that we need to take in hand and take in consideration very seriously because, first of all, there's so many of us out here who cannot afford the co-pays when we go see our doctors or the co-pays for our pills that we have to take. There are so many elderly people out there who are past retirement age and they're still working. And you ask the question, why are they still working? It's because they can't afford the co-pays that have to pay for their pills. I cannot tell you how many times I go to someone's home and I sit there and I say, well, hey, Mrs. So-and-so or Mr. So-and-so, it's very important that you take your pills. And their reaction to me is simple. Diane, what would you prefer us to do? Either we eat and live or we take our pills and starve. Now, it hurts me to know how many people are suffering the way I see them doing so because of healthcare that is going unreformed. We need to have some type of socialization healthcare reform as it is happening in Canada, it's happening in England, France, Cuba, and various parts of around this world. If it's beneficial to those people over there, why is it that we can't have it over here? We think about it as the doctors were saying, okay, we don't want this because the salary that they're going to make is going to be the same as a nurse or any other person out there. But that's not necessarily so. Anyone can survive on a good salary. The doctors in England, France, Canada, Cuba, they're all living happily with their current salary that they're doing. They're well off. It wasn't until President Nixon's time when he signed the bill for Kaiser Permanente, allowing the doctors to be able to charge whatever price they wanted to charge for a visit, or allowing the pharmaceutical companies to charge whatever price there is for the medications. It's ridiculous right now what's going on. And we as fellow United States of America citizens, we owe it to ourselves. This is a great nation we're living in. We owe it to ourselves to find some type of reform to help each other in order to get the proper health care that we need. I cannot tell you how important it is or how many people were turned down or died because they did not get the medical attention they needed. For the plain reason is they couldn't afford to go see the doctor or they couldn't afford to go into the emergency room. If you remember, how many stories did we not see in the newspaper and read of people dying in front of the ER room. In front of the ER room before getting checked out in California, New York City. Thank God, in the state of Connecticut, Governor Rowland had formed that law that anyone who goes to the ER needs to be treated in Connecticut, even if they have no insurance. That was a very good law that Governor Rowland did for us when he was governor. But not all the states of the United States have these laws. Now I'm asking you and you and you to pick up the phone and call the state legislator's office. Talk to your congresspeople. Talk to the senator. It only takes 2 minutes. You can find the phone number in the blue pages of your phone book. You can go online, go under stategovernment.gov, and try to send a quick email. Most of us are now computer literate, where we are more communicating through emails. Contact Congressman Larson's office. Tell him your points of view. Contact State Representative Lieberman and Blumenthal. Contact Minnie Gonzalez and explain to them how important these issues really are, because we have to care. I implore you to do so, because if it's not for me or you, it could be your next door neighbor who was working one day, fell ill, probably from something, and now is unemployed, can't afford his health care, can't afford to put food on the table for his family. What do we do? Do we just ignore these people that are around us? Do we let them suffer? We cannot do that. As human beings, we owe it to ourselves to try to help one another. It could be your family members, it could be your own parents, it could be your brother, your sister, your niece, your nephew, your grandchildren. We owe it to all to try to find a way to stand and fight for some type of reform of health system where it's beneficial to all of us, not just for one population and not for the other. This is not between Republicans and Democrats. This is something we need to be united in what we stand for. Hillary Clinton had proposed a special type of healthcare reform when her husband was president, but because it was not a Democratic thing, it was the Republicans who were going against her all the time and shooting all her ideas down. When she went to run for presidency, again she tried to implore her reform and she was shot down, and of course we all voted and President Obama is now president, but still his reform is not beneficial to some people and is beneficial to others. We need to make sure it's beneficial for all of us as United States of America citizens. We need to make sure that we act now and have them make amendments to all the articles that were written there. If we all had the time to read through those articles, the articles are about this big of his healthcare reform. Now, if I ask you, how many of us have the time to read through it? We don't. But I'm imploring you to please contact Lieberman's office, contact Blumenthal's office, contact whoever that needs to be contacted. If we need to go through list by list of all the senators and all the congressmen, please do so. It's very important. I cannot tell you how many children who were just on Husky alone who were denied the privileges of getting the flu vaccine this year. Why? Because vaccines were made, but it was only for those who have health insurance, like Aetna, Connecticut, or whoever. Those were the kids who got the privilege of having vaccinations. So what happened to those who were just on Husky or Medicaid? They went without any this year. Now, what does that say to you? What does that say to me? It says a lot. How long are we going to let our children suffer this way? Now we're living in a world with finance where people are losing their jobs left and right. And it's very hard to hold on to one. What are we going to do? So that's what I'm asking you. Please, it's important. If you don't feel like emailing, if you don't feel like telephoning, you can take a pen and a paper and write. I've written several letters on behalf of this health care reform. Even when Senator Dodd was in Congress at the time, I wrote to him, and he responded. I wrote to Senator Lieberman. He responded to me. I wrote to Congressman Larson. He responded to me. I wrote to Richard Blumenthal at the time. He responded to me as well. I wrote several letters to Minnie Gonzalez, who has a task force going on right now regarding health care, and she responded to me as well. So I ask all of you too to sit down, take a moment, just 2 minutes of your time, and see how we can do this and get a leadway of getting healthcare reform going on. It's very important. Remember how this Constitution was written on: united we stand, divided we fall. And I'm asking, it can't just take one person like me, but if all of us together did this, I'm sure we can have a great leadway of getting what we want, which is proper health care that we need, that we can afford, and that is reasonable, and that it benefits every single person in our great nation that we're living in here. So I implore you, at your mercy, at your leniency, please take a moment, contact the state representatives, contact your congressmen, contact your senators, and tell them how we feel. It is very important that we all take a moment to do so. Thank you.